Hello everyone, I'm Miss Canal, one of your grade 11 maths teachers. Now, remember, in our previous lesson, we looked at logarithm. In today's lesson, we will continue to look at logarithm. Logarithm. And we said logarithm is actually another way of expressing exponent or indices. In that case, then, if I have 2 to the power of 5, and that is equal to, how many times do I multiply 5 by itself in order to get an answer? It simply means that I go 2 times 2 is 4 times 2 is 8 times 2 is 16 times 2 is 32. So the result is 32. Then, if I have to express that, as we learned in our previous lesson, in a log form, that would give me to 2 log base 2. That's the base, And instead of writing the power 5 there, we write log base 2 of the result, which is 32, and that would give me to 5. Why 5? It's because it tells us the times that we deal with the base 2 in order to get the result of 32. Now, in today's lesson, we would be looking at properties. What are properties? Properties of logarithm. There are 3 main properties we'd look at today, although there are more properties that we'd look at a little later on. We'd look at the first property of log. Property number 1 is known as the product. You look at the word product and you wonder, where did we get the product from? What is the product? The product is actually the result when you multiply 2 factors or 2 numbers. The result is called the product. In logarithm, we use the product property as log AB. Log of AB simply means log of A multiply log of B. So, if we were to apply the property, it would give us to log A, the multiplication becomes A plus, and we have log B. If we were to give example in numbers, we would have example number 1, and in example number 1, we'd have, and we create a base, and it is log base 2, and 16 multiply 8. What is 16 multiply 8? We said that, okay, if we were using the product rule, it becomes log base 2 16 plus log base 2 8. Then we continue on. We look at 16 and we think, okay, it has a base of 2. How many times could I multiply the base 2 by itself in order to obtain 16? The answer would be, should you multiply the base 2 by itself 4 times, it would give you 216. You add that onto how many times do I multiply 2 by itself in order to give me the product 8. The answer is 3. So that would give me 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8. 8 is the product. We then simplify, that goes off and that goes off, and the sum of 4 and 3 gives you to 7. That gives us to example our product number 1 and its example. Let's look at the second example of property number 2. In that case then, we would have the second example known as the quotient. And in the second example, the quotient would be log A over B, log of A over B. If log of A over B is given that way, it simply means that we will have log of A, log of A, and we subtract log B. Should we have an example that involves numbers, maybe we would understand what it looks like. If that is correct, let's see. We have a log base 4, as an example, 256 subtracting log base 4, and let the value of B be 64. We then continue. If the base is 4, then we calculate how many times could we multiply the result to be 256. The answer would be we would multiply 4 by itself 4 times in order to get 256. We simplify into power form again, and we have the base of 4, and we have how many times could I multiply 4 by itself in order to give me 64. And that would give me to 4 times 4 is 16, and 16 multiplied by 4 would give me to 64. So it is 4 to the power of 3. That simplifies, and that simplifies, and we're left with 4 minus 3, and the result is 1. Let's look at the third property. And the third property gives us the power property. What is it? We look at the indices, and we talked about examples like 5 to the power of 2. But in this case, it is the property of power in logarithm. If we have log A to the power of B, A is the base and B is the power. If we were to expand it, B then becomes the coefficient of log A. So it looks like this. B, the coefficient of log A. Let's use an example, if we can make sense out of this. If it is log base 2, 16 to the power of 5, that would give us to 5 brackets log base 2, 16. That would give us to 5 multiply, and log base 2, 16 simply means that it is raised to a power. How many times? 2 times 2 is 4, multiply 2 is 8, multiply 2 gives me a product of 16. So it's actually 2 to the power of 4. This simplifies and goes off. You multiply the power 5, and the power of 4, and it gives you to the product of 5 and 4, and that is equal to 20. Now we have covered 3 different properties. We have the product property, where you multiply and it changes to become an addition. We have got example given there. When it's addition, we simplify and we eliminate the base and get the power, and the sum then is 7. We looked at the second property, and the second property being the quotient property. Quotient is actually the result obtained when there is a division. In that case, then you've got log A divided by B. It becomes log A subtracting log B. So you see, in the product, you add. It changes and becomes an addition. In the quotient, which is division, you now change to become a subtraction. You will have the same basis. These only apply when it has the same base, right? And you have log base 4 of 256 subtracting log base 4 of 64. When simplified into an index form, it gives us 4 to the power of 4 subtracting 4 to the power of 3. We eliminate the bases 4 because they are common. Now we have 4 subtracting 3. The difference of 4 and 3 is 1. So that concludes property number 2. We then look at property number 3, which is power. An example, if log A to the power of B, we could write it as B brackets log A. That simply means that the power becomes a coefficient. A coefficient is a numeral or a number that is placed out next to an unknown. So the unknown at the moment is log base 2, 16. So then if we were to write it to try to obtain its value, we will then express it into power form. The coefficient 5 is written outside the brackets, and 16 is looking at the base 2. We find the number of times that 2 can multiply by itself to obtain the result. In that case, then, we say it's 4. 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, times 2 is 16. Therefore, we eliminate the base 2, and we get the power of 2, and we multiply with the power of the base 2 of 16, which is 5, and we get the product 5 times 4 equals 20. That brings us to the end of our today's lesson. We would look at properties of logarithm in our next session, but I hope you have enjoyed yourself and you have learned something. I'll see you again. Bye-bye.